So you mentioned triggers. So I'm curious as to what those triggers were. And I know social media.
Yeah.
Is definitely one of them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah. So share with us.
So I guess to be like really practical. So like with YouTube, specifically with YouTube, let's say I'm posting a video on a Wednesday night, and right before I'm about to post a video, I go on social media and I see like other YouTubers I watch post their snippet to show they're showing a video. Instantly, I'm like, oh shoot, like that thumbnail is really nice. Like I need to fix mine up. Or dang, that video is entertaining. Mine's not really gonna be that entertaining. I'm not gonna post it. So those triggers, I had to address them. So one thing I do, for example, when I'm about to post, I don't go on social media right beforehand. Like I just post it and I let it do its thing for the night, and the next day I'll just start posting my content and doing all that stuff. I may post it right when I publish it. I may post something like, here, new video. Then I get off social media and I just do what I'm doing for the day, just so I don't allow my mind to be open to comparison. Because the thing is, like, we won't escape those things. Like we won't escape the comparison. We won't escape the insecurity, because the world is evil. Like that's literally what the world is. So there's always going to be an avenue where you can be introduced to it. You have to choose to shield yourself or walk away from it so that doesn't impact how you're moving. You know what I mean? But that was definitely a trigger. I think another trigger was I don't know if this is a trigger, but I feel like there are times when I feel like I'm not meeting a standard. You know, I feel like I'm not meeting someone's standard, and I think it goes back to what you said, where you perceive me as like, okay, I feel like people have one way of thinking about you, but you're probably not that at all, aren't you? And I feel like I was taking up everyone's standard for me and not allowing me to be me. Practically, I'm a very energetic, I'm a lot, like I'm outgoing, I'm energetic, like I'll be kissing on my girlfriends.
I love when she says I'm a lot.
And I'm saying I'm a lot in a way where I love that about me. Like I've accepted that about me, but I am a lot, and that's okay. But I'm very energetic, I'm very loud, I'm very just me. And I feel like when I'm not that, everyone's thrown off. Like, yo, what's going on? And it'll be something as little as me walking in a room and being silent for a little bit and just being in a corner. That might just be me like releasing, but like depressed, like distressing. But people automatically think, okay, what's wrong? Yeah, and something might very well be wrong, but because I'm the way I am, it's easily shown when I'm not that. And so I was trying to meet everyone's standard by always being happy, always being loud, always being exciting, when in reality that's not me. So I had to really like pause and kind of switch up on people. Like, nope, I go through stuff. I don't want to talk to you right now. Like, nope, I'm gonna isolate myself for a week, get myself together, and I'll come out later. But I wasn't being true to myself prior. I just felt like I was meeting somebody else's standard. But I just wonder, like, no one tells us these standards, so what standards are we trying to meet? Like, how did I create the standard when no one actually ever told me this is the standard I have for you? You know? That's
a question. That's a good question, and that's something that, I kid you not, I talk it over with, my spouse all the time, because I feel like these standards are thrown on us based on so many different things. Childhood. Other people, like in our circles, our friends, like they're like standards we've like acquired from like in different stages of our lives. Like it's not standards that, it's not like God created these standards from the womb. Like these are a lot of times these standards that we're trying to meet up with, it's like things that we've seen, we've taken. Ultimately, it's all lies. Like it's and so for, like, I say that to say that I pray this all the time for my children, that Lord, who you've created them to be. Even before there was an Ikepo, there was a Mayode and a Gigi already in God's heart, in God's mind. Before there was even Natalie's mother. God knows us from before we were in our parents' womb. That who he created at that time, let nothing derail us from that, distract us from that. Let us not take on these different standards, personalities, mindsets that were never even designed for us from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And like you said, social media is a huge thing. Like, I'm super scared for my kids.
Because you can't escape it. Like, that's literally the
I'm
thing
like,
of
if
the world.
we're going through this, I cannot even imagine what my kids are going to go through. My little sister, who's 10, is going through right now because she got a Twitter. No, she got a Twitter.
She be flexing on Instagram. Yeah. She's so cute.
TikTok, Instagram. You know, so it could be the fact that maybe we've overexposed ourselves.
Yeah.
Just generally, all of us. I don't know, but it's a good question. Like, where do these standards even come from?
I think it also comes from just who you hang around. Like, okay, I think it starts like when you're a child, right? I feel like the first grooming you get once you're out of your mom's womb is from your parents and from the people around you. So if you don't have your parents, like I didn't really have people growing up saying to me like, you are loved, you are valued, you are precious, don't let anyone da-da-da. I didn't really have that growing up, and that's okay, you know, that's fine. But I feel like because of that, my ears were open to everything I was hearing. So it might not even be on a screen when I'm on Instagram, but even like in the cafeteria in high school where you're hearing people tell their stories. Oh yeah, this guy, he told me he loved me, then we slept together. My mind is like, okay, so that's what love is? Okay, cool. Now I know for the future, 'cause I didn't hear it before. So just little things like that, like who you surround yourself for. And then again, it's who you surround yourself with. And it gets even more dangerous like in college, because now you're by yourself, you're an adult. So whatever you hear, now you can actually freely move on it. And if those things are false, wow, your foundation is like trashed automatically. So I think that's where even falls into insecurity. Like, if our foundation's off, it's like we have no security in who we actually are. Like, I remember I was thinking about this driving here. When I was in high school, I used to like not look in the mirror when I went to the bathroom. Can you believe that?
Why?
I don't know. And I was thinking about my journey, and insecurity is something I struggled heavy with, and I thank God for deliverance for that. But I really struggled with liking who I was. Like, I didn't like Natalie for a long time, like who I was. And it wasn't even, people think insecurity is just like you're pretty or you feel like you're ugly. Like, that's it's way deeper. Like, you feel like you don't amount to anything. You feel like people don't see you. You feel like you're working so hard at something, it's not gonna amount to, like, you're wasting your time basically. And so I was thinking like, hey, where did that stem from? Because I know it happened during college, but like, where's the root? And that thought popped up to me, like, that I used to go to the bathroom and like I would literally rush past the mirror, use the stall, and wash my hands like this.
But why?
And I can't remember why, but I used to do that for like maybe 2 years. I did that. So when I went to the bathroom with friends, you know how you talk in the bathroom when you're in high school? I would have to like just go because I didn't want to happen to look in the mirror. So I'm like, wow, like that's the root of it. I may not know why, but it started even before I realized it started. And so I think when I'm preparing for the role as a mother, like the way I speak to my kids, like my future kids, and the way I bring them up, that matters so much. Because that's the first thing they hear. So that can be either the foundation to what they apply, what their friends are telling them, or that can be the lack thereof, and then their friends or whoever will be the ones dictating,
and saying,
persuading,
do that.
So man, insecurity is a whole other topic. That's a big topic.
But even what you just said just now, ultimately it's really identity. Like, I mean, it's really just kind of like, you know, I said in the beginning, like, who is Natalie? And I know that's a heavy question. Natalie Adams, you know, but like what has been, right? Because this process is continuous for all of us. So what is the process, your current process, in figuring out your identity? Because you said, like, you know, the insecurity, and we've talked about, like, you know, what our foundation should look like. And for me, like, the word that just keeps coming to me is just identity. And it's such a huge topic, because I'm telling you, without identity, there's no direction.
You can't walk in purpose if you don't know your identity. You can't.
You will be going in circles.
You'll be literally playing tug of war. With
you
every
will go
single
like
leg, arm.
For my you will go mad, right? You will go crazy. Like, you will not be able to function if you can't even kind of grasp even a little bit of your identity. And again, one thing, sorry, I just remember one thing. One thing I've realized is that identity can change. Well, not your identity with Christ. That will forever stay the same.
Right.
But your identity as a mother, as a med school student, because once you're a med school student, that's no longer your identity. So that's...
Right.
You've now moved on to a different identity.
Right.
As a businesswoman.
Right.
So I think sometimes people get so stuck on, this is my identity. But for me, I personally think that it's evolving. So let me hear your thoughts.
So I agree with everything you said. I think when you first asked me who is Natalie, what I really wanted to say was, I'm still learning her. I'm still learning who she is. I'm still shedding the layers that make up who Natalie is. But I think the first moment where I'm like, okay, I know the Natalie that God made me to be was when during that season where I had to really learn that God loved me. I think that's what the first pinnacle of our identity is, to know you are loved by Christ. Like, you are so loved by Christ. And I used to feel like I wasn't. Like, I didn't know that I was set apart. I didn't believe that I was set apart. I read it in the Bible. I heard it in church, but I just didn't believe that I was set apart. Like, I could have a purpose that if I didn't fulfill, somebody else would be lacking as a result. I just couldn't believe that. And before that, it was me not feeling like I was loved by God. So I got to the point, I think what really kind of pivoted me understanding that was when I prayed to God, like, I don't see how you can, like, love me. Like, I don't see, because I be getting nasty sometimes. I have a little attitude problem sometimes. Like, the thoughts that when I'm mad, like, the thoughts that go through my head, I'm like, they're ungodly. So how can you, like, love like that? Like, how can you love someone like me? And I remember I've had multiple encounters with God where he just, like, it felt like he wrapped his arms around me and I would just fall on my knees and cry. Like, just literally cry to him, like, wow, like, I'm soaking in God's presence. And that was the first, that's like the first fatherly love that I've felt. And so in those moments, that's when I started realizing, like, wow, like, I'm really a child of God. Like, I'm his baby girl. And when I walked into that role, I felt all the weight drop. Because what happens is, like, we feel like we're adults. Well, we are adults, but we feel like we have to have this, like, head held high, these shoulders real high, everything put together. But when we're with God, no, we're his baby girl. We're his baby boy. Like, we're a child. Like, we're his baby. Like, I can just fall on my knees and just be like, God, I can't
pour it all out to
him.
Pour
it all out to him. And so those seasons where I was alone, those were the very seasons where I had to meet God and I had to learn God as friend. And that's what I love how God uses him. I love how God introduces me in the different seasons, because I feel like he introduces me to different facets of who he is. So there's some seasons where I'm knowing God as friend. And then there's other seasons where I'm knowing God as the lover of my soul. And a lot of the seasons I'm knowing God as father. And he's that all the time, but there's just different facets of him that he really emphasizes to me in certain seasons. And then when I put it all together, I'm like, wow, he's everything to me, and that season where I didn't love myself, or I couldn't look in the mirror, or I just was ashamed of who I was, and I just felt like no one cared for me. Those are the seasons where God's love, like, kind of exploded in front of me. And that's when it wrecked me. Like, when I knew I was loved by God, I felt like I could conquer the world. Like, I really felt like I could conquer the world, because if I'm loved by the Most High King, if I'm loved by the highest of the highest, what can't I do?
Yes,
like, what can't I do?
Energy.
And it's not I have my bad days where I'm like, God, I can't hear you, I don't want to do this no more. But then I have to think back to those. I was watching this sermon and it was saying how when we want to be reminded of God's faithfulness, just look back. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, like, I immediately started thinking about things that even when I was a child, like, my mom, like, my parents struggled, and, like, my mom was held at gunpoint at some point, like, in Haiti. So, like, when I hear about those things and I'm thinking about where I am now, like, I'm like, wow, God, you were faithful. Even when I didn't know who you were faithful.
Right.
You were still running after me, even when I didn't even care for you. And when I think of those moments, I'm like, wow, like, God really loves us. Like, he really, really loves us. But it really takes you knowing that love personally. Because it's so, like, we're all children of God. Like, we're all, you know, kingdom women and men. But I think it's when we know it personally, like, yeah, no, God loves, like, you know, I know he loves you.
Yeah, but he
that's cool.
Me.
But he loves me. And let me tell you why. So it's like when you have that personal revelation, I think that's when your security is able to be established. Because I think, well, from my experience, I didn't have that. So I didn't have any foundation. So I wanted to first be a child. I didn't want to be an adult first. And so God allowed me to be a child first in his arms. And then that's when I was like, okay, God, what's next? Like, what's the next battle? We can do this together. Now we're doing this together. Now I know we're doing this together.
Now we're on the same team.
What's the next battle? But I think along those lines, like, with not having security and not having a firm foundation, it's easy to pick up false identities. Like, for me, I've picked up so many identities. Like, people will ask me questions and I'm changing my answer. And I was like, yo, I don't know who I am. Like, it's like, this is an example. Like, I was in rotations, and like sometimes you go, when you're in the specialty that you're rotating in,
so this is like
attending. This is med. This is like a practical
Med
example.
school lingo.
It's like a practical example. When you're in the hospital, you go through rotations. You go through the OBGYN rotation where you deliver babies. You go through the surgical, doing surgeries. And you'll hear students, I'll be with students for like 2 different rotations. And the doctor will ask you, okay, what do you want to go into? The student that I'm with, the previous rotation will be like, okay, I want to go into peds. We hop into surgery. The student is like, yeah, I want to do surgery. I'm looking at him like, that's not what you said. That's not what you said last rotation. Like, who are you? So it's just in the same respect, like, we pick up so many false identities because we don't know it for ourselves. So whatever people say, like whatever people said about me, like I said before, I believed it. So if you said this about me, I'm like, I don't have anything else to base it on. I might as well. So I was carrying all those things, and I think it's time for us to just really sit and reflect and let God show us who we are. And it's gonna be ugly. Look, I've had some embarrassing moments where I had to literally be like, I'm sorry.
No, are you able to share an embarrassing moment with us? Because you keep on saying these embarrassing, and I want to know at least one. Give me one. Give us one.
Right. So when I say embarrassing, I mean like where I was in a place where God showed me, and it was embarrassing because I had to kind of like admit it and apologize for it. So one example is like with med school. I'll give an example for med school. Like when my friend, one of my closest friends, when he was getting certain grades on exams, the way that I would get so upset because I didn't get that grade, like the way I would be, like if, let's say I got a C and they got a 90 or 80, the way like I immediately was like, well, you don't really have to study as much as I do, so of course you got that grade. Like I would say just really nasty things like that and make them feel like they didn't deserve what they got because I was so insecure about what I got. And when I started telling God, okay, God, reveal me to me, like fine, like let me see who you say I am. He had to reveal those parts of me too, where it's like, girl, you are so insecure, like you really don't think you're smart, even though you're a medical student. You really don't think you're smart, and look how it's showing itself. Look how it's showing itself. Like even with like social media, like with when you see your friends advancing in their careers, and you start to think like, I did it first. Like those thoughts too, those counts. Like that's embarrassing. Like you don't want to see yourself in that light, but God had to show me that part of me in multiple situations and be like, this is the things I want to uproot out of you. But he can't uproot those things unless you know those things are there.
Yeah, you have to acknowledge them.
You have to acknowledge them. So I think I was hiding it for so long, and then when I asked God, like, you know what, God, I'm preparing, I'm about to enter into my career, God willing, I'm gonna be a wife, I'm gonna be a mother eventually. I don't want to have all these things that you didn't even call for me to be with me as I enter into those transitions. So I began to pray like, God, okay, I want you to uproot everything that's not of you. And he did. He did, and he made it very clear what they were by circumstances like that, where I had to really sit back like, wow, like I was dead wrong.
Ooh, yeah.
I gotta go back. Now I gotta go back there and apologize.
I've had those. I'm still having them.
I had it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I'm still having them because even the whole social media again, and I'll continue to use KepTalk as an example because I said from the very beginning, this is a step of faith, a leap of faith. Yeah. Even doing this, but you see people putting up the content, getting the followers, getting the likes, and for me, what it does, it actually kind of like when I see it and I'm like, oh, it kind of paralyzes me. Like, I don't. It's like I do the opposite of what I'm supposed to do. I don't know.
Yep.
Because I'm like, okay, well, so and so did this or shared this or is here, so I'm not even gonna.
Yep. And I feel like you do the opposite so that you won't be able to say, well, I did try and I failed.
Yeah.
So you do the opposite, like, so it's like, well, I didn't even try. So
yeah, so I'm not even gonna, because practical example. Content. Putting out content. I've had people call me. I know someone's probably going to watch this video and they know I'm referring to them. This friend of mine, he's like a brother. He's like practically begging. Like, just release a photo. Release a this.
Yeah.
Do a TikTok.
Yeah.
Do a this. And I'm so scared of rejection. And I'm just like, you just don't understand. Like, he'll call me weekly. Like, just do this. Like, you have something. You know, and it's like, I'm not believing that I actually have something. You know, and I think you mentioned that too. Like, not believing in the identity God has created for me. That's my issue. I just don't believe it.
Right.
Like, even this was spoken into. I didn't wake up one morning to say, I'm gonna go do KepTalk. Like, no, like you said earlier about like prophecy, and it was said, like, thus says the Lord.
Right.
And I was like, all right, I want to be obedient. And of course I had a passion for it. It's something that, you know, but something that I kind of thought about, but, you know, I was thinking something a little different, but it's like I don't believe it. And that's why I guess that word believe, when you said like you have to believe what God says, it's just hard for me. Like I just don't sometimes.
Yeah, I saw this thing on Instagram and this was actually, it really helped me because it said, no, it was on Twitter actually. It said basically, y'all just post the content. Like, no one really cares what you're posting about, so why not just post it?
I've seen that.
It's like we think like people really gonna be like, oh, why is she posting that? Like, that's not who she used to be. Like, just those thoughts like that paralyze you into doing what you feel like you're led to do at the moment. It's like they don't really care actually, so I'm just gonna do whatever I want.
I don't know about that. It's
easier said than done.
I don't know about that because I actually had an experience last week. So again, I saw your video and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out of this rut. And then I think I posted something, I could find it, where I was like, I really want to do like a challenge, like a spiritual, mental, physical challenge. Like, you know, those like 14-day challenges. Yeah. Like, I want to just do something where I can like bring on a bunch of different women. We can just kind of like work on ourselves together, because I'm not the only person that mentally drained, physically drained, spiritually drained. So let's just kind of like uplift each other, like kind of like build a community.
Right.
Who do I think I am? Anyway, so I put like a poll out. Mind you, when I did that, I'm like, well, really, why are you even, like, who are you? You know, you're like, who do you think you are?
Exactly.
Like, I put a poll out on my Insta story, and I wrote like a little, you know, blurb, and I said, would you be down? And people actually hit no. And it discouraged me.
People are so y'all rude. Like,
you know, so like, and again, they have every right. Mm-hmm. I put it out there.
Right.
But I didn't know that it would impact me.
Yeah.
Mind you, I had more yeses than nos. I probably had like maybe 50 people participate in the poll.
Yeah.
Let's even say like 42 yeses, 8 nos. But those no's,
they just outweigh for some reason. Yeah.
I'm like, and then I was clicking it, and I'm like, who?
Unfollow, block, delete, next.
Who?
Because the thing is, it's the boldness for me.
I'm like,
I can see you.
I'm like, listen, you could have just kept on going. Mm-hmm. Especially the females that hit no. But again, that's just a practical example.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would sting.
Yeah.
And then I'm just asking myself, like, why are you? I had to call my sister, like, do let me tell you. And she's like, well, just listen. God gave you the idea.
Yeah.
Run with it.
Yeah.
God you know, so I say all of that because I know we can be here talking
forever
and ever. And I definitely want you back on my show because I feel like we kind of like touched on one part.
And there's just so much.
Yeah.
There's so much.
On like one part of just like life,
right.
which is like that spiritual and then identity. And I just love your honesty. Your honesty, I think, will take you so far. Because people are not honest anymore.
Yeah.
People are trying to like be so perfect.
Yeah. And I've been there.
I'm not jealous of.
Yeah.
I'm not insecure.
Yeah.
When it's like, no, sis, you are.
Right.
No, my brother, you are. You know, and you know, I see things, and then it's like when you see the people, like one person's doing something, and then everybody else got to go do it.
Yeah.
You know, but what has God called you, Natalie, to do?
Right.
What has God called Ikepo to do?
And one thing is not greater than the other. Like, I feel like when we hear the word, okay, what's your ministry, what's your purpose, we immediately think like, okay, if you're not preaching on a pulpit, you're not walking in purpose. And that's not how purpose always looks. Like, this is part of your purpose. Like, right. You're walking in purpose. Even with those 42 people that are only watching, whatever number it is, like, we're walking in our purpose. But I think the reason why I'm so okay now with being imperfect is because I know now that doesn't define me. Like, I've fallen short and I've apologized and I've moved past it, but I've been there and we've all been there. You're just not sharing it, and that's cool. That's cool. But now that I know that God loves me through that, what do I gotta lose? Like, you don't have to like me anymore. That's fine. But if I'm walking into my truth, that's all I can give you. Yeah. And so I don't want to be perceived as perfect, because then that gives me no room to really be who I am, which is imperfect. And so it took a while to get here. It's still a journey. I'm still getting to that place where I'm just careless, like in a great way, like just careless about who I am, doing what I want to do without feeling like thinking about what other people may think about it. I'm still working to get there, but I can say I'm at a place where I can look in the mirror and I go to the bathroom. Yes. You know what I'm saying? So
I feel like even that alone, we can like be here for another 2 hours, because I'm just so, I guess it's like my counselor hat I'm putting on now. Like, something had to have happened in your life.
Yeah, it could honestly just be the fact that I never really felt seen, and so I got so used to not being seen that I didn't want to be the one to see me.
But seen either. By who though?
I really should dive deeper with it with my therapist, but I think, like, why wouldn't I look at myself in the mirror? I guess I just didn't know who I would see, because I didn't know who I was. But 2, I think I was so used to being overlooked that when it was time to be looked at, even from myself, I didn't know how to do that. So I didn't even want to do it. And I say overlooked because it's partly my fault. Like, I carry this persona like I have it all together. Like, I remember when I graduated high school, my friends from high school used to say, like, yeah, of course you're going to go to college, go into medicine. Like, you just have it all together. And I carry that with me. Like, you have to have it all together. Like, you can't be struggling. Like, people ask you, how are you? You're good. That's it. Like, there's nothing else to say. But because of that, I deprived myself of feeling actual feelings that I felt. I waited till I got to my room, isolated, to feel those things that I was actually going through. And so I think I just didn't know how to see myself. I didn't know how to see who I was. And so for a long time, I didn't know who she was. And then everyone else's words were dictating that for me until they weren't. And then I was like, okay, I gotta face it. I gotta really face it, literally. So that could be one reason.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think, well, I know probably a little more, but like you said,
your therapist hat, like, yes. Let's get deeper.
You know, there's always layers, but I mean, like I said before, your honesty, your transparency, your just the willingness to just want to be a better person, like for God, for yourself. You know, you even mentioned like when you become a wife and mother, like you're like, it's like going through training. It's like you're like, God, train me.
That's
like,
literally what it is.
Like train me. I wanna be the best version of myself, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And you're so young to me. So like, even being able to have the mindset that you have, I didn't have this mindset at this age. I was even married at this age, right?
You're married 21, right? I'm 25.
You're 25. Okay. I got married at 22. I was not like this. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it just I'm looking at you like...
I don't know when it hit, because I know that about myself. I'm very self-aware, and I tell people who are, they have, like, of course they have to be closest to me. I always tell them, like, please check me, like, gracefully check me, like, don't, like, respectfully. And I think I've told like 3 people this before, like, who I know want what's best for me. I'm like, you know, I give you permission to check me, because there's sometimes we don't see what we're doing because we're caught up in whatever emotions, feelings, whatever it is. We don't see it, and you need those people who are around you often enough to, like, identify that. And it sucks because that's not, like, a natural thing a friend would do.
I have a girlfriend. I went to her house, her home. She has kids. Our kids are all, you know, pretty close. And she was like, please, it was with the kids. She was like, I want you to let me know if, you know, I think what she said, like, if you see my kid, like, if you see something better that my kid could be doing, she was like, don't keep it in. She was like, tell me. Yeah. It took me aback because people are not like that. People are not built like that. Like, it's like, who do you think you are? Exactly. Who are you talking to? Exactly. How dare you? Everybody's so... Yeah. And I was just like, wow. Like, that day, I had so much respect for her because she's literally saying, don't keep it in. Like, please... Because I value this friendship, let me know. And it's not like I saw anything that her kids were doing, but she was just saying, like, for future, like, if there's anything you see, don't hold it here. If we're friends, tell me. And I'm like, I even thought, can I say that to somebody?
Right. And
can I?
I don't even know. Like, I was going to say, delivery does matter, but even if you say it the sweetest of ways, we will get offended.
Yeah, like, if somebody now came to me and said, you did XYZ, really, how would you take it? And then I might take it face value, like, oh, thank you so much. But deep down, it's like, oh, no, she didn't.
And then you have to ask yourself, like, for example, let's say that same thing. Let's say she did say it to you versus, let's say, Simi says it to you. You have to ask yourself, her sister. You have to ask yourself, like, if Simi said it to you, you'd be like, okay, yeah, you're right. Let me look into this, let me reflect. But if she said it, it'll be like, who do you think you are? But you have to ask yourself, well, why do I have that reaction to her? Do I not think she wants what's best for me? Why don't I think she wants what's best for me? And if I think that, why is she my friend? Why is she actually my friend? And so I had to, there's been a time where I had to sit down and really go through my friends, like, with my therapist and myself, like, what are they here for? Like, what are they really doing? Because it was a season where I was like, remember I told you I felt alone for so long, and then I was being asked, like, well, you have a lot of friends. Like, that's people look at me like, you have a lot of friends, talk to a lot of people. I'm like, I do, but not all of them are friends. You know what I'm saying? I will always avail myself if you need me, but that doesn't mean that I will always be able to access you if I need you. And so I think that's not the mystery, but that's the catch to me. Because I'm just like, you think like, well, you can't be alone, lonely. You have mad friends, you talk to mad people. But friends and associates are 2 different things. So I had acquaintances, close friends versus there's levels to all of it. So
friends like family, there's levels.
So you really need to know, and that's another conversation. Like, you need to know the role that people play in your life and what role that is, and don't overstep it. Because what happens is that dangerous like crossing is you look for people to be something that they're never were meant to be for you. And I've gone through that countless of times where I have a girlfriend, I'm like, okay, we could be mad close, like, I think we could go to be best friends. And then we either end up stop talking, we either end up, like, falling out. Some people just randomly just stop. I have friends who just randomly stop talking to me, and I don't need, that's trauma too, like, that is a trauma, but I'm like, I thought they were supposed to be my best friend. And then that's when I had to realize, like, I need to know exactly who I'm keeping around and why. Like, are they adding to me? Like, are they just taking up space? Like, are they just temporary? Like, what are they really adding to me? Because then you know, okay, who can I trust with this part of me? Because then you have accountability. But you have to really be able to sit down and be like, well, I don't see, the thing is, I think I'm past this stage where things are for fun. Like, I be having fun, but, like, I don't need people around me for fun anymore. Like, I need people around me who are going to tell me, like, Nat, you said this last night and it kind of rubbed me wrong. Like, can you explain further? I need people like that, or people like, I see that you're going through something. Let me encourage you a bit. I need people
pray for you.
Let me actually pray for you. So I think it's just a whole. It's just you have to reflect. Like reflect on your life. Reflect on where you are, where you're struggling, and why you're struggling. When you have feelings about certain people, your friends. Why are you feeling that? Is it about them or is it about you? And if it's about them, talk to them.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's
get to the bottom of it.
Any relationship, your partner, your spouse, like, it's reflection. Being self-aware is like I gave the example of telling my husband to shut up 2 weeks ago or whatever I told him to. I realized like he wasn't the issue. I was the issue. I was stressed. I felt like I don't want to say alone because I have an amazing support. But I just kind of felt like, well, no one understands what I'm dealing with. No one understands how busy I really am. No one understands, I was upset for just different things. Like, I felt like I give so much to people and...
Oh, my gosh. Yes. That's big.
People can't even say, how are you? Right. So, and I took it out on him and I had to, humbly, right? Because humility is a whole nother conversation. I had to come correct and come humble and apologize and say, I will never say that again to you again. And I might say it again, right? Who knows? I'm not perfect, but again, I just knew that was not it. That was not it. But yeah, like I said, we can go on and on and on and on. And I really, really just appreciate this conversation. I'm grateful for this conversation because now Natalie and I have years apart. Look how young and spicy and beautiful.
Yeah, you look my age.
She looks. I told her that I buy so many skincare products because I don't want to see a wrinkle. I don't want to see, even my cousin's a dermatologist. I hit her up quite often, so... But thank you, I appreciate it. But it's just so interesting. It's captivating to me to know that even though there's years between us, we're all going through the same thing. Even though we're in different seasons of our lives. I always say, like, of course, we all know wife, mom, and all that. Med student. You have a boyfriend and all that. We're in 2 different seasons, 2 different lanes, but we're dealing with the same thing. Maybe on a different scale, but ultimately
when you come down to it,
when you really come down to it, insecurity, identity, just the different things that you even mentioned today, we need each other. We need each other. And like I said, I just really, really just love this conversation. I think it's something that a lot of people, not just women, even men, need to have with people that they trust. Like just discussing freely, like, what are your insecurities? And what do you believe your identity to be? Just more conversations like this, because I know that tonight, we're recording at night. I know that I'm leaving this conversation wanting to be a better person, wanting to be more aware. Because your awareness level is like on a different level.
Really?
Oh yeah, like, no, seriously. Like, I thought I was self-aware, but like, you're really self-aware, and I love that. And I'm like, yes, I'm gonna pick from Natalie a little bit and work towards it. Yeah. Like, you've poured into me. Oh. You really have. Yeah, you really, really, really have. So I'm grateful for you.
I'm grateful for you.
I'm so grateful, and I know that your platform is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. Amen. Follow her, please.
XO, Natalie on YouTube.
XO, Natalie. Follow her. Like, she's just good person, good vibes. Just, what you see is what you get. So please support her. Follow her on YouTube, on IG as well.
Same thing. XO_Natalie.
Yeah. And as she mentioned, she's in med school, so keep her in your prayers.
Please.
Keep her in your prayers, because I know med school is not easy.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, I know it's not easy. I'm so grateful for you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And with all of that being said, because we've had an amazing conversation, I keep on twisting. You guys.
Your legs are short, right?
Yes. Yes. With all of that being said, I am going to make my announcements. And I hope you all remember from the last video, I promised. And like I said, I'm just trying to keep my word. So I have an announcement to make. And it's in line with this conversation, interestingly enough. But I am, again, stepping out on faith. And I am putting together my own conference. So this idea dropped in my heart a few months ago. And it scared me. Ever have an idea scare you?
Oh, yeah. Like, how? Why? Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even this, KepTalk. But this one really scared me. And I'm like, so I called my girlfriend. She knows who she is. Shout out to her. And this girlfriend of mine is like, I love how...
Like, she executes. She's an executor.
Ooh, she executes. And so I said, I need to call her. Because I know that she will encourage me. She will offer up assistance if needed. So, I call her. This is like back in like March. And she was like, yes. Like, of course, encouraging me that like people really like look up to you, Keps. Yeah. Like, and when I say conference, I'm not like the only one speaking. But anyway, I can get into that later. So she's like, people like look up to you. People, like all of us always talk about how like you kind of set the path. Like, you're just saying things to me that I didn't even think about myself. Honestly, like I was crying on the phone to her. Like, really, you guys think of that? Like, you think that of me? Honestly, I could not believe it. She's like, yes. Like, you're married. You have 2 beautiful kids. You're in school. You're doing this. You're doing that. You love the youth. You're a youth leader. You're a camp director. And I was just like, yeah, like I'm that girl.
No, you are that girl. You know, you sit down and be like, let me just count it all. Yeah, I'm her.
And it's the grace. It is the grace of God. I'm telling you, it's God's grace that I pray for every day, God's strength, because I can't do it by myself. I cannot. I can't. If it wasn't for God's strength, like, I would be on the floor, literally. Yeah. So, and I told her the idea, and she was like, you need to do this thing. You need to, like, God will help you put this conference together. Let it be for all women, maybe men too, but all ages. Well, not all ages, but like maybe college or young adult up until whatever. We'll have different sessions, breakout. Like, she's like, do it, do it. Have talks with people that are married. Like, just have it. And I was like, yeah, I am gonna do it because we need each other.
Yeah.
People are going through so much. People are dealing with so much.
Yeah.
We just need, as women, we just need to uplift each other, be real with each other.
Yeah.
Tell each other truth. So anyway.
Encourage one another.
So I said, okay. And I had told her that I want to do it in October. But, fear gripped me. So I didn't even start thinking about it until probably 2 weeks ago. But anyway, conference coming in January. It will be around my birthday. Start of a new year, 2023. I started planning. We will have speakers. There will be a venue. It's going to be amazing.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's going to be amazing. And so that was my big announcement. I hope it was big for you as well.
It's huge. That's so exciting.
So I'm excited. I'm ready. I'm ready to just move forward, to keep going.
Yes.
I'm just ready to keep going. Do not look at who's doing this, who's doing that. Do not look at, I should have, could have, would have. Just move forward.
Yeah.
Move forward. So more information on that. But yeah, and hold me accountable.
I will. And
I need it.
I wanted to add, just for all of us, like, one prayer point we should all pray is, like, the very things that make us feel like you can't possibly do that. The very things that we see that make us paralyzed and moving and, like, feeling, like, insecure. Let God make those very things be what encourages you and inspires you. Like, everything makes us feel less than, but how about we pray to God to make us encouraged? You know what I'm saying? Because then we see those things all around us. We'll constantly be encouraged, constantly be inspired. And that's like a daily thing you have to do. But that's what I do to just make sure, like, when I see someone doing better than me or doing what I want to eventually do, I'm like, boom, I gotta get there. I can get there too. Yeah. Not, dang, there's no way I'm gonna reach that. There's no way. It's like, no, I'm gonna get there. I can get there. I'm gonna let her encourage me and inspire me. And we should do that for each other. Like, it's not easy though. Definitely not easy.
It ain't easy.
But it's a work in progress. We're all work in progress.
Yes. We are all a work in progress. So that's it for this episode. It's been a beautiful episode.
I know.
Beautiful episode with the beautiful Natalie. And yeah, I'm blessed. I'm so blessed. And I know that all of you watching this video are blessed as well. And so yeah, I will see you in my next video. Please share.
Subscribe to her channel.
Thank you, girl. Subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to her channel. And yeah, thank you so much.